What brought me into the pregnancy center was definitely fate for the first time. I was very scared and alone and didn't know what to do. I had been pregnant before and went through a divorce earlier on, and decided to be a single mother to my son. At the point where I was at in my life, I did not have anybody to talk to. I was very embarrassed about my situation and being a single mom again and being pregnant again. I was very lost and didn't know where to turn. My family, word spreads very fast, so I was very scared that a lot of people would find out in my family and judge me. And not only was I scared about my family, I was scared about people that I used to go to high school with finding out. And I was scared that people that I go to church with would end up judging me. And I wasn't very comfortable with this situation because it was unexpected and not planned, and I didn't know how to carry forward. I was driving and I saw the sign to the pregnancy center, and something had told me that that is where I needed to go in. I was very confused at what I wanted to do with this child. I was considering adoption. I was considering not keeping the child. I was considering being a mom again, and I was very scared and lonely. I do remember walking in and sitting down with two counselors, and Renee was one of them, and I ended up bawling. I ended up crying very hard and did not know what to do. I was advised and not judged, and they were very comforting. I felt that they were very professional in the way that they conducted their mannerisms and helped me and guide me through this situation, and they let me talk, and I was heard, and I feel very respected, and I know that it was all confidential, so that had made me feel quite comfortable not having anywhere else to go. They talked to me about proper procedures and where I would need to go, so they actually helped me set up my family doctor's appointments. They advised me who to talk to. They advised me in not clinical supports, but community supports. They helped me with the baby box. They have always texted me to make sure that I am okay. They have been supportive in all of those senses, and I truthfully could not appreciate it more. I'm okay right now. I have a baby coming here in a short couple weeks. I'm 35 weeks pregnant. I fear doing this alone again, but I know through the community and through their help that I can get through this and that I'll be okay.
So Ida, you came here as an international student, and where did you come from?
I was born and raised in Kenya.
Okay.
And I came to Canada because Solomon, my husband, was in Canada. So he applied the college for me, and I came as an international student. So that's how I came to Canada.
Okay. And Solomon is now back in Kenya. Yeah.
So he had a bit of a mix-up with his visa.
Okay.
And we thought the best thing for him to do was to go back, because at that time we found out I was pregnant, and we thought for him going back and coming back in a right way would be good for us, because we didn't want to do anything that was illegal, and so we thought best for him to go. And so he left when I was 6 months pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's still trying to come back.
Yeah, so he's been trying to come back still, and I'm hoping that one day he will be able to come.
So what brought you into the center?
So what brought me to the center was I was scared and lonely at that time, and I was about 6 months pregnant, and I didn't have anywhere to go, and I didn't know who to talk to at that point. And then I came to the center.
How did you feel about being pregnant without your family nearby?
So the hardest part was being in a foreign country with no family, and now Solomon had to leave, and I'm 6 months pregnant, not knowing what to do. And the only contact that I had with my family was just talking to them on phone or either Skyping. So it was a really difficult time. The center was really helpful because being an international student, we don't have a lot of privileges here. And then I remember the first thing when I came, the first question that I asked was if they support everyone or just Canadian citizens and permanent residents. And they told me they are here to help anyone who's pregnant and in need of help. And that was a really good thing about the pregnancy center. Not the same as family, but it was really good. And the support that I got there has been keeping me going up to now.
So did you find the center helped you?
Yes, the center was really helpful. And I remember when Nathan was born, they gave me a special basket for him that had clothes and diapers and there was a thermometer, I remember. And also they've been helping me by giving me diapers. When I come into the center, they always provide diapers for me. And they had the baby first step classes, which you gave me a ride every Thursday. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, it was really, I find the center really helpful, up to date. And if it was not for the center, I don't think I would be where I am right now. When I first came to the center, I felt safe and supported because I remember when I first knew that I was pregnant, people were really telling me that it's not a good idea to have a baby as an international student who is supporting herself. But when I came here and I found out that, like, talking to someone and explaining, because I knew from the beginning that I really wanted to keep Nathan, and taking his life was not a choice for me. And when I came here, I felt really good because I got to talk to you and felt safe and supported. The center has also opened a lot of doors for me, and it has made me meet a lot of good people who have been really supportive in my life. So I really feel that it's a really good thing to be in the community. I'm not 100%, but nobody can ever be 100%. But looking back at everything that I've been through since I came, I feel like if it was not for the pregnancy center, honestly, I don't think I would be here, and I don't think I would be able to keep Nathan with me here. So I'd say I'm doing good now. I really thank God for bringing me to the center, and for also everyone who is supporting the center. I thank God for you, because if it was not for you, I would not be here. And I thank God for all the people that I've met, and you've been really supportive, and now it's more of a friendship. I really thank God for that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've always been passionate about helping women who are facing an unplanned pregnancy. I think being adopted myself, I really appreciate my birth mother and the decision that she made. These women face very tough decisions, and I think to be able to give them the guidance, the support, the love that they need, it's really important to me. I've been at the center now for 3 years, and it's been amazing to see the women that God has brought in, and I've really enjoyed it. I have learned a lot. I think the biggest thing is seeing how broken our world is. When these women come in, they all have a different story, and I've had to learn to be less judgmental, and I've had to learn to be more compassionate, and I've really had to learn to trust God and know that He has these women in His plans, and I've really had to trust in that. So I think the most rewarding thing for me has been the clients that God has brought in. So meeting Ida has been wonderful. To walk alongside her, to see her have a baby, to become a wonderful mom. I'm very proud of her, and now we are good friends, and I'm thankful that God brought her here. I've met lots of different women. It's a joy to walk alongside them. So for anybody who's thinking about volunteering at the center, it's a wonderful place to be here to walk alongside these women that God brings in. It's an absolute joy and honor to be with them, to listen to them, and to be able to give guidance and support. I've also really enjoyed getting to know the other women here at the center, and it's a great place just to laugh and to be together and to do devotions together, to pray together, and just to have another woman to talk to and just to support each other, and I really enjoy that.
What brought me to the center the very first time was an unexpected pregnancy, and I made my way over here once I found out, just to see what it was about. I had a whole bunch of different feelings when I found out I was pregnant. One of them was I was really thinking about giving the babies up for adoption. I was sad and scared and happy all at once. I was really nervous to come into the center the very first time because I didn't really know what to expect. I met with one of the counselors that works there, and we wound up sitting and talking, and I found out what the center was all about. I didn't feel judged at all by my counselor. After talking with her, it made me feel better about the pregnancy and better about having another baby. The centers helped me with a few different resources. They let me know about the community kitchen at the food bank, about the Better Beginnings, and then they also let me know about just other groups that were out in the community for pregnant women. The parenting class I did at the center was amazing. I would highly recommend it. The information we got from it, and the other moms and babies we got to meet, and the ladies that were there teaching the class, they were all amazing. I feel like my relationship with my counselor, it grew from when I first found out when I was pregnant to even up to today when the twins are 11 months old. It just feels like every single time I talk to her, I feel more comfortable telling her more and more stuff. I would say to another girl that's in the same situation as me to definitely come in and see what the Pregnancy Care Center has to offer, because if I wasn't told about this place and I just saw it just walking past, I wouldn't have came in. If anybody had asked me and they're in the same situation I was in, I would say you need to go in and see the Pregnancy Care Center. If you're not comfortable going in alone, I'll come in with you the first time you go.
My name is Renee Arnett. I am the Client Services Director here at the Lethbridge Pregnancy Care Center. When I was younger, I was a single mom. I found myself pregnant, unexpectedly pregnant. I felt very alone. I felt like everybody in my life had an opinion of what I should do, and they very freely gave those opinions. I just needed somebody to talk to, somebody to process my feelings, somebody to advise me in a good way. And so I really feel like girls just need to come in and just sit down and talk so that we can sift through some of the feelings that they're having. The girls, when they walk in the door, I feel like they just want somebody to talk to, somebody to support them, somebody to hear them, somebody to just listen to their story and acknowledge that what they're going through is really difficult. And so we're just that person, somebody to listen, a listening ear. Here at the center, we have so many different opportunities for a volunteer if they're looking to serve women in the community in this way. If you have a heart for serving women, just to come in and check out the different opportunities. We've got some administrative duties, we've got some reception duties. Volunteering at the center doesn't always necessarily mean direct client contact, but if that's something that is in your heart to do, we certainly would appreciate having anybody come in and just go for a tour, just see what we have to offer here at the center.
The very first time I came to the pregnancy center, I was extremely nervous, I was shaky, I was scared, and I was 6 months pregnant. I found myself a little bit embarrassed and scared, especially of my family. And I came in, I was introduced to everybody at the pregnancy center, and then they brought me into a room. There was only one counselor, which I was okay with. She introduced herself, I introduced myself. She made herself very open with me. She asked me how I'm doing. I brought the father too of the baby. He just stood there and let me do all the talking. She asked me what I wanted. I said, I'm not quite sure. Since the last time I went through something like this, I was in closed adoption and I was very upset. And then she introduced me to open adoption. She explained to me all about it. Open adoption, you're able to experience more and get to know your own child. Compared to closed adoption, you feel like you don't know anything about them. It can make you almost want to cry your eyes out every day. In an open adoption, you get to not just get to know, you get to choose your very own adopted parents. They treat you like family, they even try to become your friend. They're not pushing you in any way. They're trying to show you that they just want you to become in their lives, including your child's. I wrote a letter explaining to my daughter that I placed her in open adoption because I was in a situation where I wasn't making enough money. I wanted to put her so she would be loved and cared for, not just because I didn't love her. I loved her so much. I did want to raise her on my own, but with the help I didn't have at first, I didn't see that happening. I placed her for open adoption because I wanted her to have a better life than what I would have gave her. I chose the couple based on about their lives and that I know for sure that they know exactly what they're doing. They said they had adopted other kids, which I got to meet them. And they made it so open. I've never seen something that had probably one of the biggest hearts ever. They said I can see her whenever I like, as long as I give a bit of a month's notice, because I don't live in town. They email me every day. They send me pictures and videos. For my daughter's birthday, we went to a church. They rented us a room, and I got to teach her a little bit on how to walk a bit. They let me have complete open time with her. What I noticed a couple of months into it, I noticed that not just my daughter, I'm not just teaching her stuff, she actually was teaching me stuff. My daughter was teaching me that I'm not alone, I'm not afraid, and she isn't either. The center has always been a good part of my life. Even after my daughter was born, I still come once in a while just because of how grateful I am of everything they've done. They put so much faith in my life and faith in between me that I can always come back and even talk like I'm talking to a best friend.
Hi, my name is Christine. I live in Lethbridge and I have 2 kids. My daughter Lizzie is 5 years old and my son Zachary is 9. And my husband Jeremy and I have been married for 15 years now. And I have been volunteering at the Lethbridge Pregnancy Care Center for about 2.5 years now. I first heard about pregnancy care centers actually about 20 years ago when a good friend of mine was volunteering at the Calgary Center, and it intrigued me a little bit, but it hasn't really entered my life again until a few years ago when I heard that the Lethbridge Center was opening. And at the time I was living in Ontario and I was really excited to hear that Lethbridge was opening a center because I had seen a need for a center in our community for a while. So I was excited to move back to Lethbridge and become involved in the center. I think my calling to be involved in the center was really planted about 10 years ago. My husband, Jeremy, and I were in the process of adopting our first child, and his birth mom actually was being counseled through the Calgary Pregnancy Care Center. And so in building a relationship with her prior to the adoption, as well as after, we saw the benefit of her relationship with her peer counselor in Calgary. For the first time, I was open to, I think, the experience of the birth mom side. And I had a heart for her, but I also knew that I wasn't the voice to speak into her life as much as I wanted to speak into her life. And so I was just really thankful that she had a place to go, to talk through things, to be encouraged, and to help her grow and move through this difficult journey and season in her life. When I think of what's rewarding about being here at the center, I think of two things. The first thing that I think of is the high school girls that come in. I love the high school girls that come in. And what I love about them is here's these young girls that come to the center, and they're faced with crisis, and they're scared of talking to their parents, or not being able to graduate high school, or what their friends are gonna think, or even how they're gonna move forward to tomorrow. Walking alongside them and seeing them make choices that help them rise above their crisis. And they're willing to do the work, and they're willing to make the hard decisions that really push them past being these kids in crisis to becoming young women that they can be proud of. And I love it. I love seeing that. I love seeing them love being a mom, either being a mom that chooses to raise her child or being a mom that places, but knowing that they've become this young woman that they can be proud of and move forward, and just seeing them mature and grow. So I love seeing that. A second thing that I actually find rewarding is being able to tell women that they're valuable. And I think that's my favorite thing about being here. There's some women that come to the center and they need resources and they just need community help, and we can point them in that direction, and that's great. They have a strong support system, and that's great. But there's a lot of women that come here in crisis and they have no support, and they've had really, really hard lives. And a lot of these women, I think, come here and they feel shame because they're here, period. They feel shame that they're even considering abortion. They feel shame to be even having the conversation. And I love the opportunity to sit with these women and hear their stories and be able to look them in the eye and say, you're valuable and you're worthy of love. And not because of decisions or choices that you've made or haven't made, or because you're gonna choose option A over option B over option C, but you have value because of who you are. And I can remember being in a room with two clients, and one of the clients was talking about her story, and I just said to her, you are more valuable than settling for the choices that you're making. And I remember she just started crying. And when I asked her what was moving her at that time, she just said, nobody's ever told me I'm valuable before. And I think that's just a powerful thing, to be able to look someone in the eye and say, you are loved, I love you, and you're valuable.
My name is Monica Lowe, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Lethbridge Pregnancy Care Center. And I'm honored today to tell you about one of the clients that I've worked with here in the center. I'd like to introduce you to a young woman named Kim, who I met here at the center. Kim's upbringing was, from my perspective, normal. I realize normal is relative, but Kim grew up very similar to a lot of other people, including myself. Kim grew up on her family farm. She has a number of siblings, and early on learned the value of hard work. Her Dutch heritage means that she knows what a doekie is, and she had to wear a hempie in the winter. She attended church twice every Sunday, and as she got older, Calvinettes and catechism and young people also became a part of her life. Her parents believed in the value of Christian education, and so her biblical instruction was carried over into the classroom, and she attended the local Christian school. After high school, Kim went on to post-secondary school and earned her university degree. She quickly found a job that she loved, and it seemed like everything was going according to plan. Until one night, Kim was driving home from work, and a car ran a red light and hit her car. And while there wasn't any long-term injury, Kim's recovery journey was long and painful. And it was during this time when she was hurting and she was vulnerable, a close friend took advantage and sexually assaulted her one night. And as a result of this assault, Kim became pregnant. As every woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, Kim had a decision to make, but unfortunately, Kim felt that she had to make this decision on her own. She was so worried that her parents would be disappointed. She felt strongly that the assault had been her own fault, and so she didn't want to see that disappointment in her parents' eyes. She was pretty confident about the judgment she would receive from her church family, so she felt she couldn't go there either. So Kim did what she thought she needed to do to fix the situation, and she had an abortion. Kim didn't tell anyone about the procedure. She just went on with her life. And for many years, she would tell you that she was fine. Kim says that a part of her died that day with her child. Her abortion changed her life. She buried herself in her work, trying not to think, to distract herself with whatever she could. As she looks back, she speaks of how that one decision changed her from a carefree, happy person into a murderer. I met Kim 8 years after her abortion experience. She came to see me here at the center and said that she'd heard me speaking about the work of the center, and she sat across from me and said, "You know how you spoke of how 1 in 6 women has had an abortion? Well, I'm that one." And that statement was the beginning of Kim's healing journey. Kim compared her abortion wound to walking across a thawing frozen pond, hearing the cracks underneath her feet, never knowing when she was going to fall in, never knowing when she would just sink into the water, give in to the hypothermia, and just give up. She compared her abortion to a hostage taker. She called it a wolf in sheep's clothing. Kim shared how she would punish herself by reliving the memories of her abortion over and over again, embellishing the painful details. She said she wasn't allowing herself to be happy. She was just allowed to exist. Today, Kim is married. She has 2 beautiful little girls and is doing her best to continue moving on with her life. When she first had her first child, so she suffered from severe anxiety. She was convinced that she would be punished and that God would take her first child as a punishment for her previous decision. Looking back, she can see the ways that her abortion decision changed her. It impacted every aspect of her life. She became isolated. She became a workaholic. She felt that she couldn't be around her family, or she couldn't be in groups of friends. She felt like a hypocrite in her church. Everywhere she went, she was convinced there was judgment. But as Kim began to work through the abortion recovery program, little glimpses of light began to shine through. She was able to work through some of the pent-up anger that she'd held on for years, writing anger letters that she would never send, but was able to express her feelings. She was able to see that the terrible separation that she felt from God was not God, that she had put up that wall and that God had pursued her through all of it. She was able to dream and imagine her unborn child, who she feels very strongly as a little boy, and had tears in her eyes as she shared about this blue-eyed little boy with dimples and blonde curls. And she takes great comfort knowing that her son is in the arms of his Heavenly Father. Kim acknowledged that she was still punishing herself, that she was not letting herself live life fully, that she realized now that she was allowed to be happy, that she was allowed to move on, that while she will forever grieve her little boy, she's allowed to rejoice in her little girls. And at the end of the program, Kim said, "My abortion wound isn't like that pond anymore. I'm like a beautiful, cracked china plate that's been put back together. Functional, still beautiful. And if you look, the cracks are there, but they've been put back together, and only a few people know how those cracks got there. So why am I the one telling Kim's story? Well, for starters, Kim isn't her real name. Along with other details that I've changed, I've been telling her story. Because, you see, Kim really is the girl next door. She grew up right here in southern Alberta. And while God has done great healing in her life, she's not yet ready to reveal her story. And you see, so many people here in our community would know Kim and know her family. It's such an honor and a privilege to work with women who come in looking for that restoration after an abortion decision, to be able to share with them the healing and the recovery that is available to them through the work of Christ. As Kim moves on from her work here at the center, she feels strongly, and she said, anyone who's had an abortion should really do this program, even if they've had other counseling. As Kim moves on from her recovery work here in the center, she has said anyone who has an abortion in their past, even if they've done counseling, really should do this program. These are Kim's words. Thank you to the center for providing someone to be my person, for not judging, for loving, for being someone safe to open up with, for encouraging me to grieve, make memories, cry, laugh, hope, and love. Thank you for not making me feel small or like I don't deserve to feel happy. I was scared to trust God and take a small step of faith, but I'm so glad I did. God knew I desperately needed this program. Words are so inadequate at times. All I can say is, thank you.